What's up guys, I'm here to do a video about reading, which you guys know I love, and I want to title this, I have two titles. Either one is reading a trauma response, which might be too dramatic, but two, why do I only read when I'm sad? And I want to talk about what attracts me to reading and what attracts a lot of us to reading and what that says about us. I love to read, okay, but I notice that I read often or read a lot when I'm lonely. Like, books are kind of my go-to and kind of my escape from the world when the world is not great. And I've heard a lot of people describe kind of their attraction to reading in the same way. They're like, reading is an escape, it's what I do to get away from things when they're not great. I was kind of thinking damn, would I be reading as much if I were happy? Basically during COVID, I read so much because we were all inside and the rest of the world read more than they usually did. I think I saw somewhere that reading went up 10% or 20%. Then I noticed it got harder for me to read when the world opened up. When I could go back to bars, clubs, hang out with friends, my reading slowed down. And I want to talk about reading as a practice. How many of us really go to reading when we're at our happiest, we have so much to do, we're fulfilled. And how many of us go to reading when we're sad or when we're not experiencing the best of best worlds, and so we travel to another one. So I'm okay, is reading a trauma response? Because when I was younger, the reason why I fell into reading, yes, I have probably mentioned I had a first grade teacher who really introduced me to really cool books like Junie B. Jones, Katie Kazoo. But also I was kind of bullied as a child. I was bullied as a child, and it was easy for me to just read when I wasn't getting along with my friends, or I felt like I didn't want to go out during recess. And so over time, reading has just been something I do when I feel very lonely. It's just been a way to go to new worlds. And I'm thinking to myself, and I'm what is my relationship with reading outside of being lonely, outside of being sad? Would I still be reading as much if I were a happy person? And I want to change our practice and our approach to reading. I never want reading to feel to people that it's a chore or that it's something they do only when they're sad or lonely and don't have shit to do. I want reading to kind of be like TV. TV is something you watch whether you're having a happy time or not. TV is something you engage with friends. People will watch the same shows as their friends, talk about it with their friends. And I kind of want to change my approach to reading. Instead of being a solo, lonely act, to get involved in more book clubs, talk about books with friends. And that's what I think bookstagram has done, is bookstagram has changed reading for me from a lonely practice to a community practice, one that I'm sharing with friends and stuff. But yeah, I just want to pose that question, when do you guys find yourself reading, and how can you make reading a community practice? And granted, I don't think it's wrong to have reading as a lonely practice, because if you need it, you need it. And I still will turn to a book when I'm feeling sad or lonely, or when I'm feeling like the world is not that great. But I really admire people who've made reading kind of their extracurricular community practice. They go to a book club and drink wine with friends and talk about a book, and I don't have that. I mean, I have bookstagram, so it's kind of doing that for me. I like being able to talk with people about a book we've both read, but I'm trying to get involved into book clubs, and also just go to book events, book fairs, in-person book sales, and book thrift stores, and meet people and make reading a community practice. So yeah, let me just pose the question to you guys. Is reading for you a lonely practice? Is it a community practice? Is it a mix of both? Do you find yourself reading when you're sad? And what does that say about what type of reader you are? Because I feel I no longer want reading to be something I do when I'm sad. The sun's literally traveling as I'm talking. But yeah, let me know. Just a thought I really read when I'm lonely, but can I still be a good reader when I'm happy, when I'm fulfilled? What role is reading playing? And don't get me wrong, reading, again, fiction is such a great way to travel to new worlds, but I don't want it to be something I do to avoid the outer world, or to not be involved in my community, or to not talk with other people necessarily. I don't want to be that kind of reader. Let me know, and I'll talk to you guys later.